It's time to giddy up for some gore. Hello everyone and welcome to RotD Review of the Day, and today I am taking a look at the 2018 cowboy slasher movie, Lasso. How did I really feel about this one? Honestly, I would say that this was a fairly generic slasher, torturer, gore movie that just happened to be set against a cowboy background, and if it couldn't really decide whether it wanted to be dark and serious or silly, and it wound up trying to be both, to the point where ultimately I would say that this movie was good but forgettable. And to get into more detail, let's get into the categories. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. The plot follows the character of Simon, who is a employee of an active seniors group that take a tour bus over to a local rodeo, and they watch the show, they enjoy it. They wind up getting back to the bus a little bit later than everybody else, and in doing so, they stumble across a darker side to the rodeo. And some stuff happens with killer cowboys and torture porn and trying to escape and cat and mouse games and so on and so forth from there. Now, that's about as much meat as the plot has. There just wasn't a whole lot to it. And that, I think, is ultimately where I found the biggest problem. When you have a slasher movie or a torture porn movie, it doesn't need a really good reason. Hostel, you had wealthy people buying their way into being able to be torturers with no consequence. Even slashers like, Mike Myers, the simplicity behind him in the original Halloween series, even then there was a reason. There was, evil behind those eyes, those dead eyes, just saw nothing there but pure evil. Okay, that's weak as a reason, but it's a slasher. You don't need a strong reason. This isn't a sophisticated, possession kind of movie. It just is. And to have any kind of reason at all is good enough. This had no reason to it. You had a group of 7, 8, 9, who knows how many cowboys that were simply torturing and killing people. That's it. And you know what? If you're going to have a completely reasonless movie with one antagonist, one villain, one slasher, even I would buy that even. But what would cause an entire community of rodeo employees, cowboys, what have you, to decide, well, let's round up some audience members and torture them to death? It seems a bit of a stretch, and it would have taken 5 minutes of a roundtable discussion and 1 line of dialogue thrown in there to give me a good enough reason that this was going on. It wouldn't have taken a whole lot, but some effort in that regard. So without a whole lot of plot and without absolutely any reason that this is going on, aside from just simply having gore on the screen, I gave it a point of 7 out of 25. The intent, I gave a 13 out of 25. This was not scary. I don't know if it was necessarily trying to be scary, but it was definitely trying to be gory, torture porn kind of. But at the same time, like I said earlier, it was also trying to be silly. And by walking between those 2 lines, it felt like it was almost directionless. On one hand, you had really gritty, visceral gore stuff happening. And on the other hand, not to spoil anything, this wasn't at the end of the movie or any climax or plot element of it. It was just a kill. You had a cowboy that had lassoed somebody and was swinging them around up in the air as if he was Jason Voorhees with a sleeping bag, and slammed them against a tree. Silly, yes. Fun, absolutely. But dark and serious, absolutely not. So it didn't match the tone that the movie was already trying to set. So I couldn't tell what this was trying to do, and I think by walking between those two lines, it wound up being a 13 out of 25, average movie at best. The acting, actually, I thought was pretty good. 15 out of 25, good performances with the material given. There wasn't a whole lot of character arcs to be going through. The main character as Simon was about as pointless of a character as I could think of, but he was played well by Andrew Jacobs. As a character, he was actually frustrating how pointless and weak and so forth he was. And I get that by the end of it, he was supposed to have risen above. But even then, I have seen characters in beast mode before and done a whole lot better than this. Even so, 15 out of 25. I didn't really think there were any bad performances in this. Some of the members of the active elderly group and so forth were, I thought, actually pretty well done. The technical, I gave a 20 out of 25. I thought that as far as the gore went, as far as the body effects and the gore and the makeup effects and the visceral stuff that they employed, I thought it actually worked pretty well. There was some a few moments of you had to suspend a lot of disbelief with this movie, but once you did, you were able to enjoy it, and I thought what they presented on the screen on a technical level was actually really good. So that gives us a total score of 55 out of 100 points. This was fun. It was also brainless and forgettable. If you want to simply watch people get tortured by cowboys for no reason, this is the movie for you. And on that basis, I would highly recommend it. Sometimes you do simply want a brainless movie where people are getting hurt. And this is a great one for that. So that would be my recommendation, is if this is what you're going for, it will deliver. So that should about do it for Lasso. I thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.